Up Ansling and Billabong is loud.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. We are back with our Monday night fans forum show, where we'll go through a couple of the topics that myself and Martin, who's joining me tonight, want to talk about, and then obviously get your questions, your comments on anything Aston Villa related, either on or off the pitch. And we'll just chew the fat for a good hour or so, and see what we think about Aston Villa as a whole. First of all, though, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are motoring on to 2,700 subscribers. I think we're about 40 away from 2,700, and obviously on the road to 3K. So, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and yesterday I think we had loads of viewers watching the match reaction show, but we didn't get that many likes. I think we had like 30 likes by the end of the show. So I really want to get those likes up. So make sure you do hit the like and subscribe button. Help us spread the word of the channel. Martin, how are you doing, my friend? It's been a while.
Yeah, just been just personal family stuff at the moment going on. So, but look, otherwise I'm here now. I'm a bit tired of a Monday morning and being up since 5 in the morning, but what else would I be doing?
Exactly, mate. I appreciate the effort. I'll finish late, work late on a Monday, so that is why
Mm.
we're later than maybe usual. But bit of bedtime, bit just before bed, guys. I mean, for
Yeah.
Adamski, it's probably morning for him, but yeah, just before
Oh yeah, he's
bedtime,
up
a
bright and early,
little
ready for
Villa
work
talk,
and
and
all
we
he
get
is, listening to us on the radio.
yeah, exactly. Comments coming in already. Adamski in the house. Hello, everyone. Great to have you on board, mate. Villa Spurs game is going to be a banger. We might even talk that because the game tonight, I've not watched it. I've just caught
I
it,
haven't
all
watched it
the
either. I'm just
information.
seeing loads on Twitter
But I'm
about it.
just seeing craziness on Twitter. Rachel saying, what a game for the neutral. Absolutely. So we're going to talk that because there are some issues that Tottenham may be facing when they come up against Aston Villa, which will go into our benefit. But
I think
first
it's
of all,
3-1 Chelsea.
it's
I think
3-1 Chelsea,
I
yeah,
think so. I
which
think I seen just they got another one.
3-1 Chelsea, and Tottenham are down to 9 men, but the Madison has gone off injured and Mickey van der Ven has gone off injured. So, and Romero was sent off and Adogi was sent off, but I think he will just miss one game. But Romero got a straight red. So does he miss more than one game? That is the question. So we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll talk, but firstly, what I wanted to talk about was Mr. Dion Dublin and his comments on Match of the Day, and it's caused a little bit of a debate on Twitter, a bit of
Mm.
reaction on Twitter, and I think it was probably I put out there that I thought he was totally wrong, and I think myself and Gareth will get into this more on our on the Talking Tactics show later on this week. So make sure you check that out. But Gareth is in full agreement with me on it, and from an analyst perspective. And I think it's kind of easy punditry from Dion Dublin on a Match of the Day show, basically talking about the High Line. It got talked about by Ian Wright last season after a victory, let alone a defeat. And it just seems strange that Emery gets all this praise after after being fifth in the table. We miss an opportunity to go third, and all of a sudden it's back to a perceived problem. Villa's High Line is going to cause them lots of issues. It's going to cause them problems. They're not going to potentially go as high as they want to. Because of this, but not forsaking or to completely forgetting the fact that that only Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool have taken more points in the time that Emery's taken over, and he's employed this tactic for the whole time. It
Mm.
it just doesn't make sense, Martin.
No, it doesn't. Like, I mean, he would have a point if it was a case of like we were doing so shit, like a Steven Gerrard type of thing, but obviously not. Like, the teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City that you've just named, they're playing exceptional football for how long now? And Emery, in a short space of time, playing this high line, and the amount of points we've gotten, the amount of wins we've gotten, we made Villa Park a fortress. It's just unbelievable. Now, in one way, I can see where Dion Dublin's coming from, because there's some teams in the league that can expose the high line very well, and that's just makes it easy for pundits to point that out. But for some reason, they seem to point it out against Villa, not a Liverpool, a Man City, or an Arsenal. It's kind of like, oh, Arsenal had an off day, or City had an off day, Liverpool had an off day. But when Villa have an off day, it's like, oh, this high line that they play and how they get caught, and it's just it's a very easy target for them, and it gets a little bit annoying when you consider the track record Emery has now.
Exactly. Well, this is what he said. He said Villa's high line for me is absolutely ridiculous. They've been brilliant of late. Let's get it right. One of the form teams, and Emery's done great. However, when you
Mm,
play a high line a yard from the halfway line, you're going to be in trouble more often than not. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We've lost 3 games this season.
yeah,
We went on a run of we've won 12 home Premier League games in a row. We went on a following the defeat against the 3 defeats in a row, Leicester, Man City, Arsenal. We went on a crazy winning run that
yeah.
was only Man United where we lost 1-0 and Wolves where we lost 1-0 that was
Mm,
that was scuppered. So again, he's played those tactics the whole time, and it's not failed us in those games. Now, as I said in my tweet, for me, in my opinion, I think when you play that high line, the pressure on the ball ahead of those defenders has to be right, because you have to make the passes difficult for their midfielders or their defenders to be able to pass. So, and you also have to block the runs. So you have to,
mm.
you'll know in coaching you have what's called third man running, where the pass will go into the front man, he'll lay it off, and then a different player will break the line and run through, and then that pass goes over the top into them or through into that third player running. That's where you have to stop that supply. That's where you have to put pressure on that to stop that pass from going through. Now, for me, I thought that we were sluggish in our press from Diaby, from Zaniolo, and from Watkins for whatever reason, I don't know. And then in terms of our midfield, I was only really McGinn setting any sort of tempo in pressing.
Mm.
Um, and you don't expect that from a Louise Kamara. And maybe partly that was because we had so much of the ball. I'm not sure. But it was more about tempo for me rather than the high line, because we caught them offside 9 times, and that's what the high line is there to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about like, you know, making the passes harder, you're going through the lines, like you want to play through the lines, like going from defense to attack to break the midfield gap, or you go from defense into midfield, and you just take it in time and patience. And then, of course, what Villa do really well, rather than doing man-to-man press like Liverpool do, we press the passing lanes, and that's something that I think is a lot harder to do, because you're trying to see basically at the back of you, like, is he going to pass here or is he passing here? So you're nearly anticipating what's going on. And you're right with the Forest game with the tempo. I felt the tempo probably wasn't as quick as it has been. It was just, I just think it was an off day, and when we got to the final third, there was no clear cut rootlessness or decision makings. It was just everything was good from defense to attack or into midfield. But getting that final third, I think, really killed us. And ultimately, I know Forest basically just got themselves 2 chances and took them well. And if you don't take your chances in the Premier League, you get punished for them.
Precisely, mate. Precisely. Let's have a look at the comments. So Rub's in the house. Hello, Rub. I know Gaza's in as well. Adamski says cray cray.
I think it's
Adamski
4-1
said,
now. I've seen Jackson
yeah, it
getting
was
a hat trick.
4-1. Yeah, Jackson got a hat trick. Dion, not such a dub. Lynn. Gary says, hate Holmes under the hammer. Dion, see how you like it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rub says, and the goals we conceded versus Forest were not linked to a high line, really. The second, definitely not. The first, in a way, but the errors leading to the goal came later. Exactly. Gary said they all looked tired yesterday. Everyone was off. It reminded me of the Everton Cup game, and we just knew we wouldn't score. That's part of it as well. It was kind of an off day. John said they were just bigger, stronger, faster, and more determined on Sunday. It should have been a cup final for us as well, but for them, it definitely was. Could hear that their fans up the Villa exactly, and I do think, as well as that kind of tempo, because when you're not as strong physically, and I've said this a lot of times with Villa sides, particularly away from home, when you're not as strong physically, you have to be able to kind of counteract that by quick passing, by players who can run with the ball. And we didn't really have that yesterday. We didn't really have the quick passing, and we didn't have, other than half time when Bailey came on, and he couldn't really get going. He had a couple of little efforts to run at players. But other than that, we didn't really have anyone who could go after and beat a player, and that's where we're missing someone like a Jacob Ramsey to get you that territory.
Absolutely, like, because Jacob Ramsey, I mean, obviously the hardest thing in professional football, obviously we don't play it, but judging by, what you see, beating a player is probably the hardest thing to do. And Jacob Ramsey just does it with so much ease. He's like, he just glides past the player and he gets himself into really dangerous positions. And he's so ruthless, I think, as well, a lot lately under Emery in front of goal. And you do miss that, someone with that ball carrying, and you can draw the foul, and it gets you into high positions, and that's where Austin McPhee can work his magic, with the set pieces. If Ramsey wins them, the fouls high up the pitch, obviously. So I'm looking forward to Jacob Ramsey when he comes back, because we do miss that. But at the same time, I think we do miss Moreno. It's just a different dynamic. Like, I've nothing against Digne. I think he's been brilliant. He's been fantastic, but you can just tell in some games that Moreno is probably going to be the number one left back for Unai Emery.
Well, yeah, it needed as well in that game. Yes, yesterday afternoon, someone to in the wide areas in particular. I know Dini got through quite a few times with good passing, but it almost needed someone to go beyond, right to the byline and cut it
Yeah,
back. And Cash didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And not even Bailey really did it. And then there wasn't and then Dini he kind of plays his crosses more from that kind of edge of the box to the kind of penalty spot area. He doesn't go
yeah.
beyond that right to the byline. So whereas like you say, Moreno would do that. But look, Gaza sums it up. Hats off to Forest. They were simply better than us on the day, and they got their tactics spot on. They scored at the right times. They had 3 forward players who were there to really hurt us. They had different skill sets. They had Elanga, who's got searing lightning pace. Awonyi, who's got pace and power and is real good target man. I would sign him. For me, I would sign him if we could. And then they had Morgan Gibbs White, who's got that bit of trickery, got that vision. So they had players who could hurt us. And then their midfield, as I said, their central midfield, we had the physicality against Wolves, and we put ourselves about, and we kind of almost kind of we competed against Wolves, but I felt we didn't compete enough in that midfield battle on yesterday. But look, it is what it is. It happens. Gary says we need our Ramsey back. Absolutely. Hopefully after the international break. CC's in the house. Hale, what a crazy match. A throwback to the 90s. The Spurs still look strong at 9. It will be interesting to see how the red cards and injury impact our games with Spurs. What else have we got? Rub said we saw many teams playing Europe this week not having a great performance over the weekend. Lack of intensity, determination is always been something with teams playing in Europe. Well, look, the best thing is with that, they've got the European game and then the game next Sunday before the international break to really go at it. CC has said we barely go to the byline. It drives me crazy. Gaza says Moreno is just about there too, which hopefully gets some minutes on Thursday, to be honest. And yeah, we just weren't at it. Low energy, and Forest were very good. Um, let's have a quick. As I say, both of us we haven't seen the Spurs game. We've just been following it on Twitter, but by all accounts, it was crazy. The manager gets booked, 2 sendings off, injuries. Chelsea getting a 4-1 win. Results kind of, I guess, does it make it more frustrating that we didn't win, or do you take it as, you know what, it's a sign of things to come? It was a sign of things across the weekend that, teams underperformed. We did, Arsenal did, Liverpool did, and Brighton did, um, Tottenham did, lost today. I guess they haven't underperformed as such. They've just lost the game. But like, no one is, we're still 5 points off top. We're 4 points off second, and we're
Mm.
2 points off third or fourth. Basically, after an off day and a poor performance. So, does that? Are you like looking at it glass half full, or are you looking at it glass half empty, as to say, what the hell?
I'm looking at it like glass because it's mad because in one way I am looking at it like, well, you know what, we kind of got away with it considering the results all weekend was just mad. It wasn't as if, teams capitalized on other teams' mistakes. It was just a weekend for a bottom half team. And then on the other side, it's so frustrating that we didn't capitalize on that and we could have been sitting third in the Premier League for like a week and we would have been like, if we beat Fulham, all of a sudden you're talking about sitting in the cream of the crops now. All of a sudden, but it's one of them, isn't it? It's you kind of you're right. Do you look at it half full or do you look at it half empty? And I just, for me, I probably look at it half empty. But like, I'm really frustrated by it. But at the same time, though, you
Yeah,
take your blessings.
at some point you're gonna lose a game. It's inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah,
I guess half full person would say you're better off losing when all the other teams are kind of, have poor results. Or the majority of teams, like Gary said, only City won out of the top 5. So you're better off kind of having a disappointing result at that situation than, you getting beaten, all of them winning, and then you're kind of playing catch up. But
yeah, you're playing catch up
yeah,
then. Yeah,
and also we get, we don't want to get carried away. It's back to
absolutely.
reality.
No.
Our away form isn't great. There's areas to really improve on that, and there's also January window, couple of players to come back to fitness that we can really start to potentially push on, and we've got some tough games coming up as well.
Mm,
With regards to Spurs, it's to be confirmed, but Romero being a straight red, he should have 2 games or more ban, which is a big one for us. They've had an injury to Van der Ven, who started the season fantastically well, had to go off just before half time. I don't know the severity of it. Madison's also had to go off. Now, again, don't
mm,
know the severity of it. They obviously have the international break to potentially recover from that, but it could be that they end up with 3 or 4 players maybe out for when we face them. So
yeah.
that's got to be good news for us as a potential, like obviously facing them in 2 or 3 weeks time.
Absolutely, you take that all day long. Like Romero, straight red. I think that's a 3-game suspension. So 100% he's out for. I don't know who Spurs have next, but they'll be out for that game, out for the Villa game, and out for whoever's next. And with Van de Ven and Madison, 2 players who are absolutely flying at the moment. So I think he probably took them off as a precaution. And you might see them next week, you might not. So you might not play them in terms of, you know, looking after them then for the international break, coming back for the Villa game, which is a big game to Spurs considering where the 2 teams are at the moment.
Exactly. Massive thank you to Rod. Massive support of the channel. $10 super chat. Amazing stuff. Thanks for doing the forum. Up the Villa. Brilliant, guys. And this is why we do it. We like just chatting, chewing the fat on a couple of different issues, getting your comments in. Do help us spread the word of the fans forum. Now, Monday night is Villa Park Pod's fans forum. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get it shared all over social media for us. I'm not the best at social media, I must admit, but I try my best. But yeah, you guys help me out with that. I know loads of you retweet and like our tweets, so that's brilliant. But yeah, it's your guys' night. We just put a couple of subjects out there, and then you guys can ask the questions from there. But yeah, like, subscribe if you want to donate as well to the channel. If you want to become a member, all the information's there. Just hit the $sign, $1.99 a month to become a member. We've got 20 members now, which is fantastic. And Adamski mentioned about doing a members only competition. That is in the offing. We will get that set up. So if you want to be in with a chance, and a better chance than when we do the big giveaways, then yeah, hit that join button. Couple of comments. Cloudy said it seemed to happen to us a lot when there's a chance to do something special, we just fall short. It's happened over numerous eras. Hopefully not.
Keep the faith, Cloudy. Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Exactly. John said there, this is not the last time we'll be disappointed, but we're fifth. We're normally talking about putting distance between us and the bottom three. We're now still in touch with the top four. Exactly. And Rachel said the glass is half full for her, as we're still transitioning, and we should use this as a learning experience. Exactly. CC has said glass half full. It was a reminder we are still learning. I do not want to rush to the top. It's a false foundation. We need to work on a few things like slow possession and passing with intent. Exactly, and particularly away from home. Gaza says Wolves, Villa, and City up next for Spurs, so that's going to be a big test for them. Wolves at home are tough, man. Wolves when they play at home are tough. Rub says Van der Ven might be off for a month or so. Not a precaution. He could barely walk to exit the field.
Because I didn't watch the game, so I don't know the preservative of it.
Great. Yeah, good info for us. And then Rachel said, do we know if Maddison's injury was precautionary? You guys again, let me know. I'm sure that that'll be the first thing that they're asked when that Ange will be asked when he does the post-match
interview.
Yeah. So moving on a little bit, we've got here CC has said Maddison possibly injured and Van der Ven injured, possibly 2 months.
For the two of them?
I think 2 months for Van der Ven, Maddison potentially just possibly.
I just said
injured,
possibly.
So,
okay, right. Yeah, I read it wrong.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk Mr. Douglas Luiz. Gaza said, Dougie back in the Brazil squad, I see, well deserved from our main man. And I think it's like the first time since something like 2021 or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, not his greatest of games on Sunday, but I mean he's been colossus for us, hasn't he? This season since the start, and certainly the second half of last season, he's been fantastic, and it's long overdue that he kind of gets in the Brazil squad. And we know how much it means to particularly the Brazilian players about getting into the seleção, as they call it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how long have Villa fans have been calling for Watkins, Konza to be called up for England, and different players, and we nearly forgot about Dougie going to Brazil. So it's absolutely well deserved. He's been an unbelievable centre midfielder, and I used to be one of his biggest haters, funny enough, because I was always slate Luiz. I was literally going, and excuse me French, I was going, fuck's sake, Luiz, at the 5-yard pass. And now look at him, he's in the Brazil squad playing high flying football. I've got me words, and I'm on the Douglas Luiz train.
Precisely, mate. I mean, I was just wanting to get some of his statistics up in terms of what he's done so far this season. But I mean, his rating is like on FOTMob, he's 7.58. He's had 11 matches in the Premier League so far. He scored 5 goals already, and he's got 1 assist. Just fantastic in terms of a return so far. 5 goals from 11 games. I know a couple of those are penalties, but just his overall ability, just his overall kind of influence on the game now, is just fantastic. And if we go to the back end of last season as well, the free kick against Tottenham, the goal against Brentford to get us the point away from home, just so many key moments that he's stepped up. I mean, we wouldn't trade him for anyone at the moment, would we?
Absolutely not. And I remember the question was asked, will we trade Dougie for Jack Grealish? And I was straight away like, nope, I wouldn't do it. I don't
That got
care
a
how good
crazy.
Jack
That got
Grealish
a
was for Villa.
crazy. It's still getting on TikTok. It still gets like about 4 or 5 comments like pretty much every day. So I
It's
think it's
mad.
close to
Like
10,000 views.
when I seen the question asked, I was like, nope. And I love how Max done it. Like, you know the way when he like cuts to the people when they're talking, and you just got me, nope, and it cuts straight to you.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, he's fantastic. And like loads of comments coming in. Finally, says Rachel, Dougie has deserved the call up for a while. Gary does say Brazil have some good midfielders. To be fair, they do. They do. Obviously, Joe Linton's in there as well. Bruno Guimaraes is in there. He's been in for a while, but I do think it was overdue for Luis to get in. I think Fred was getting in ahead of him for a time as well. So yes, it's overdue. CC has said, nice one, Dougie. They're rebuilding the Brazil team, so good time to make his mark. Gaza says, most underrated midfield in the Prem right now. It is one of those where, I mean, even it infuriates me because I've listened to Radio 5 Live a couple of times
Yeah,
when I've been like driving and then the commentary's been on. And they've called him David Luiz, like, because of the old Chelsea and Arsenal player.
yeah.
And it's
Where'd they
just
get that from, though?
like, well, exactly where they're getting it. Like, they're getting it because they're just like, oh, Luiz, Villa. I don't really follow too much about Villa because we only concentrate on the big six. So I'm not really going to focus too much on. And now I'll just call him like David Luiz. It's like he's one of the best midfielders in the country. You could at least think to get his name right, you know.
Yeah,
And it just infuriates me when I get it. Sometimes it could be a slip of the tongue or whatever, but it's just like, come on, like he's
the man's
he's a great
performing. I mean,
plaar.
get his name right.
I
I mean,
bet if
I
he
have a
played
chance,
for I
and I
bet if he
getting his
played
name
for
right.
Arsenal, yeah, I bet if he was signed for Arsenal, who they were rumored to be interested in him, I bet
Oh,
if he signed for them, they'd get his name right every time, and
oh,
all of a sudden he'd be a brilliant footballer.
yeah. And that's the problem. And it's not just them. Like it's always every single media. It's when like Declan Rice, for example, there was talks like, oh, he's a good prospect now for a big six move. But that's all they ever mentioned about him. And now all of a sudden they're like, he's England's best number six because he's playing for Arsenal. Was he not England's best number six playing for West Ham? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rub said, what an insult. Colin Smith joining us said, what Louise will get double figures this season. Also, we win now far more than we lose games. Exactly.
yeah,
John saying, thanks for all the show, lads. Always great. Brilliant, mate. Thank you for your support as well.
appreciate it.
What else have we got? Paul's very confident about this week. Villa will beat AZ Alkmaar 6-0 and beat Fulham 6-0. Goals galore. Brilliant. Hot take
If that
says,
happens, sorry, Rich, just to stop you.
yeah,
If that scoreline happens, I'll do what Gary Lineker did, and I'll do this podcast just to me jocks.
yeah. You might have to sing a song as well as Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah, hot take says standard Villa disrespect. CC says I don't mind the lack of attention right now, but misnaming players or not knowing the basics is irritating. Exactly, it's more irritating than anything. That's the point, I think. Rod said it annoyed me for Luton. The commentator couldn't pronounce Camara. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and mainstream media hate Villa for some reason, but it makes me love us more, so it's okay. Exactly, hot take. Exactly. We'll just keep going. What someone said is Douglas the Gary said he's our most improved player, don't you think? Would you say
oh,
Louise is our most improved player?
um, there's plenty of them. John McGinn. Um, yeah, I would go with Louise and John McGinn as the two most, but Louise just pips it because under Gerrard and Smith, Louise was, and you've always said it, Rich, like he was one in every like 12, 13 or so. And now he's like a 1-1. He's just always having a great game. And don't get me wrong, he will have off days. That just happens to every single footballer. It doesn't matter how good they are. There is off days, and the Forest game was just one of them. So there'll be no doubt he'll pick form back up again.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. That I think Louise's off days are now what we used to describe as his better performances. That's how
Yeah,
much he's improved. I would say McGinn. I would agree with you, particularly under Emery. I would say Conser as well, and I'd
I
probably say
struggle with yeah.
Watkins. Um,
Yeah, he's
but
he's
yeah,
staying more centrally now. He's not like drifting out wide a lot anymore.
yeah. Although, yeah, I don't think he got involved as much as he could have. Like, it's ironic because you could probably done with old Watkins yesterday than the new Watkins who just stayed in the middle and didn't hardly have a touch. We could
Mm,
we could have done with him running into the channels a bit more.
yeah,
But
true. You
yeah,
could always, you
it
could
i-
say
it is
Tyrone
what it
Mings
is.
was improving really well until he got his injury.
Absolutely, there's a few people commenting there. It's so difficult to say. What else have we got? In terms of getting names wrong, Rob said they say Zaniola as well,
Hmm.
and Rachel said it irritates her. Cloudy said media have hated and disrespected us for years now. They're in the pockets of whoever is the new hotness, i.e., Spurs, Newcastle, and the other five usual suspects. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? It's like it's only been the last week or two that Emery started to get a lot of credit, right? And I've said this before, but De Zerbi was the flavour of the month for ages.
Hmm.
Then it was all of a sudden Ange Postecoglou, who admittedly has done a good job, but now he's got Spurs, he's turned them around. Or Spurs are going to bring the glory days back. Well, hang on a minute. Like last time I checked, we won more than Spurs. Like, is Unai Emery not bringing the glory days back for Aston Villa?
I don't
Because
get it. I really don't get it
you know what I
because
mean? Like
yeah,
I don't understand this.
yeah, I don't understand it either. Like Emery's come in and the what Villa sitting 17th in the league to finish seventh, and now look at us, we're sitting in the top five, and you've got yes, don't get me wrong, Ange Postecoglou was doing a great job at the moment. Admittedly, despite the result today, he's still doing a great job with them. But why not give the credit to Unai Emery that he deserves, like you've given to Eddie Howe, like you've given to De Zerbi, like you've given to Thomas Frank as well? He gets a lot of plaudits, and Postecoglou. Like, where's the credit for Emery? Is it because, oh, it's back in his Arsenal days where he probably wasn't speaking much English, and it was a bad Arsenal team, and they were probably thinking he's not going to do well at Villa, and I think they're probably very sour at this minute because he's doing really well with us.
Yeah, that's what I think it is, mate. I think it's to do with the time at Arsenal where he probably wasn't given a fair chance. His English wasn't the best, and it was just one of those times with Arsenal where, and don't forget, that when he was like, I know it was the 2019-20 season. There was lockdown to deal with. There was all that. It wasn't as if it was just like a
I
dream
don't think he
season
was
that he.
there then. I think he was sacked in
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah,
2019.
yeah. Sorry,
So it
sorry,
was the
yeah, he was.
18,
Yeah,
19 season. I think he was gone.
yes,
Arteta
yes,
took the
yes,
reins for a while. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's
Oh,
right.
so
Yeah, he got sacked
2018, sorry, he
midway
was
through.
sacked. Yeah, because
Yes,
Arsenal won the
yeah.
FA Cup that year under Arteta.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So it just frustrates me a little bit. I'm not I don't care that much about it, but it just frustrates me that we kind of get overlooked, and Emery more so gets overlooked for the job
Mhm.
that he's done. Um,
But look,
and I guess
in the eyes of George and
yeah,
what he would say is that let us be under the radar
yeah,
because
yeah,
you know
and
what?
I guess also I still think we need to. I still think we need to beat an Arsenal or beat a Man City. I know we beat Spurs away last season. I know we beat Man United at home. I know we beat Tottenham at home. But I think we need to beat an Arsenal or Man City and
A
make a
title
real
contender team.
statement win.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm with you on that
That's
one
one
because
thing that Newcastle do. They beat Man City. They beat Arsenal. They make statement wins where people go, hang on a minute, we take notice of these guys. And we've flattered to deceive against. I know we could have we gave Arsenal a real run for their money at home last season, but
and we
other
just
than that,
capitulated. Yeah,
yeah, I don't think we did. We kind of competed against Man City away last season, but we didn't do brilliant. Um, we did terribly against Liverpool this season, so I think we need a real statement win. But other than that, for where we are in the league, I think he certainly deserves more credit. Loads of comments, absolutely flying in, guys. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe button. Help us spread the word of the channel. But McGinn, Louise, and Conson most improved, says CC. Rich Burton says Watkins. And also Mings before he was injured, says CC. Rod says most improved Louise, McGinn, Conson, and Watkins. Hot take, Kyla says Mings as well. Rub says Watkins, Louise, and Mings. Yeah, we could go through the whole team. Rachel said I would say Concert only because I didn't expect him to be as good as he is. Gaza says Dina has to be up there for most improved. Absolutely agree. Like particularly this season, and stepping into the fact that it was potentially Moreno who was going to be the main man. What have we got? Yeah, Rod said nobody's linking Ange to Man United like they do with Emery. Irritating. Rub also said one who has also improved a lot is Martinez in the construction. He became a complete modern keeper, able to build and play well. He was poor in that field before. Yeah, good point, mate. I remember those
actually.
3 defeats that we had in a row where it was like, yeah, Martinez didn't know how to pass the ball. So yeah, he's really improved at that. Hot take said again, if Emery managed any of these clubs, they'd be the darlings. It's nuts. Gary says, let's just stay in the background. Rachel said, can we give a shout out to Torres, as some people were a little quick to judge him? Yeah, I think he's been brilliant. I thought he had a good game yesterday as well. He was trying to force, he was trying to really play some creative passes, which was great. CC has said, to be fair, ESPN give us a lot of credit and Emery. I do think Emery gets a lot of praise, but tellingly, a lot of fan groups give us the right credit and praise. They do. And then there's lots of clubs and YouTubers and podcasts that do pay us the respect. It's just generally the pundits that talk on kind of the big six clubs. That's
as I like to call them.
Yeah. Cloudy said they love a good underdog story to sell them papers, etc. Yeah. Adamski said last week Steve Nicol couldn't give any praise to Emery at all. Hasn't got over the 7-2 smacking we gave his beloved Reds. Hate pundits like that. I'm sure Jamie Carragher still has a little bit of a thing. Like
anyone who's associated and supports Liverpool is probably sour at Aston Villa for second their best mate.
Yeah. Yes. Also, what winds me up as well is why do they never have a Villa supporting co-commentator on when Villa are on Sky? Like
it's not just Villa; it's nearly every game, isn't it? Because you always just see Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, and what's the other fella's name?
Was that Alan Smith yesterday? He's a blue nose.
Oh, no, don't get me started.
They've had Don Goodman, who's a West Brom and Wolves. Like, why don't they have Lee Hendry? He's done games before. He does games for other clubs.
Right? Yeah, I would have him, or even Dion Dublin because he was playing for Villa.
Yeah, although after his comments, yeah. I know.
I had to throw that one into the mix
on the radio, but it just and it winds me up. Like Karen Carney is a blues fan, and she's been on a Sky pundit in the studio on the last 2 Villa games. I know they had Curtis Davis yesterday, which fine, he's ex-Villa, nice guy, but like, yeah, that winds me up a little bit because I understand that every club will say this, but you always feel like the co-commentator is always kind of, they don't give your club any sort of praise, and I guess that is you've got that bias. But I do feel like there's always kind of a negativity on Villa whenever there's a co-commentator who doesn't have any kind of like connection. Yeah. But anyway, that's just a little rant. Let's have a. Yeah, Rub said they kept mentioning he failed at Arsenal, but they were not mentioning past failures for other managers like Lampard, for example, who has never been successful but was hyped, just to name one. Yeah,
you know what's funny? Exactly. They haven't even mentioned any of the failures for Gerrard as well.
Yeah, well, Joe Cole said that Gerrard built the foundations for Unai Emery. So I mean, there you go. There you go. Adam said if we'd have won, we'd be having a very different conversation right now. Exactly. And it is all about results. It is a results game. Rod said agree. Steve Nicol is just a Liverpool fan. That's where his punditry starts and ends. I mean, it's a big club, but does ESPN need a dedicated Liverpool fan every day? Gaza said Rooney is still a bigger media darling than Unai will ever be.
Stop.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Rachel said, "For me, with Emery and Arsenal, he didn't succeed, but he didn't fail, as some like to say." Exactly,
Well, he
exactly.
actually didn't because he got
Um,
to a Europa League final with a bad Arsenal team, and he finished fifth
and,
in the league. It's not a bad. It's
and
not a bad
yeah,
season.
and his win rate ratio was better than Arteta's up until last season or something. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So like,
didn't have a yeah. We've got a question from Gary. I'll come to that. And we've got comments. What have we got here? Claudia said, "Have you noticed how the media have now turned on Ten Hag after licking his ass since he joined? They did the same when Jose was at United. They're now licking Angie's backside for some weird reason. Like you said, mate, they always have to have a hero. They have to have a villain, don't they? And they have to
yeah,
create a story. Um, yeah.
yeah. And I just want to say with United, like, how long can the fans, and if there's any United fan here watching or if you even see this, how long can the fans blame the owners for performances on the pitch? Like, surely that has to come down to the management and the coaching staff. And if you look at the list of players that the club has bought, funny enough, that all players Ten Hag wanted: Martinez,
Mm.
Anthony, Onana. Who else? You've got Hoyland, Mason Mount. And the list goes on. They're players he wanted. Ericsson, Casemiro. So it's not as if United fans can go, "Oh, well, previous managers didn't get their other targets." Ten Hag has, and look what he's doing. It hasn't improved the team. Like,
Yeah, I do think they get like they're grinding results, aren't they? They are grinding some results. So I think
that shouldn't be
United.
Man United, though. It
No, no,
really
I
shouldn't. Like,
know. But look, I don't
I
know
mean, I
what
love
Man
it
United
personally.
should
Well, we're
be.
not United fans. Like, I
Yeah, yeah,
personally
yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
Martinez, but
I don't, but United haven't played like in quotes United for 25 years. So like they keep going on about back to the Fergie days. It's football's it's different now. Like so, yeah, it is what it is. But I still think they'll be there or thereabouts. I think they're in sixth or sixth or seventh, and I think they're 6 points off Arsenal. So they're not doing too badly. It's just a case of they're just not playing very good football at all. But
no.
I agree with you. There's players that they spent so much money on that aren't performing. But yeah,
And the
enough
wages they're
enough
paying
about
them as
them.
well
Enough
is
about them. Yeah,
astronomical.
yeah. Gary said our complete Villa existence is in Emery's hands. If he goes, we do too. Back to mediocrity. Hot Take says, not to be honest, never rated Carragher. The Gerrard connection runs deep. It's actually childish. Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Childish.
Cloudy said, "Moo, is it Moyes will be gone next?" Is my prediction. Then Ten Hag.
I don't think he's
I
actually
think
on
that.
the threat of getting the sack. I've seen. I don't think they'll renew his contract though, so he might be there to the end of
Yeah,
the season.
I think that Bournemouth guy could go.
Company.
Iriola, is it? I think he could go.
I
I said company would be in trouble.
Vincent
That was
Company.
my
Yeah,
prediction at the start of the
he's
season.
very stubborn in what he wants to do. He is very stubborn. So unless Burnley are probably holding out to January. I don't
He
know.
just hasn't got the players. He hasn't got the players to play that football. Dean Smith learned not quickly enough, but he learned in the end that you can't go into Premier League games and play the way that you did in the Championship and
Yeah,
just go out
because
and
there's
try
just
and out
difficulty
football
players that
teams.
play the exact same
Yeah,
way, and you'll get punished.
yeah, because it's not like Burnley aren't creating chances. It's just they can't. They're not
Can't
ruthless
score them.
enough.
They don't have someone up there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the best equipped team for me are Luton out of the promoted teams. I just think they've got an
I
effective
think
way of
I said
playing.
it from the start. I think they'll stay up. I don't think they'll get relegated at all.
Yeah, yeah. Comment in terms of commentators, CC said Townsend does hers quite often. Yeah, I know some of the international feeds do. Paul
But
said I
yeah,
hate
sorry.
Andy
I think
Hinchcliffe and Robbie
Townsend's gone
Savage.
back to that punditry box after Torres.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. I am with you on those two.
Yeah.
Ethan said we did have Dean Smith commentating. Well, he was the home game against West Ham. He was the pundit, which obviously he was there as a guest, but
But you
I
could see his
agree.
like enthusiasm though for Villa,
Yeah, yeah,
and you could just see how
absolutely.
in awe he was with Unai Emery. So clearly, he's just like a fan again.
Yeah, yeah. Paul said I like Tony Day's commentator. He does some of the Villa TV stuff. Tony
Yeah,
does.
yeah, yeah.
Where have we got here? Cloudy said Lee Hendry is actually a good commentator and he's very balanced with his views. Absolutely, he does the Sky stuff in the studio, but I want him to be the co-commentator. Paul said, the guys, I wonder what the pundits would say if Villa were top of the league. They probably say we wouldn't deserve to be there. They probably would. And they would say, like, oh, well, how long is it going to last? Oh, they haven't really played anyone yet. Wait till they play Arsenal or Man City. What do you reckon?
Sorry, just say that again briefly. I missed it a little bit.
I was just saying, if who was it who said? Basically, it was saying like, if what would the pundits say if Villa were top of the league? They would probably say we wouldn't deserve to be there. And I was saying yes, they would say that, and oh, well, they haven't really played anyone yet. Wait till they come up against Arsenal or Man City. Wait till after the Christmas games and all that kind of
They'd be
stuff.
waiting on the collapse of Aston Villa to fall from top of the league, a bit like Leicester. I know that Leicester was just a miracle story, and Villa are probably far from that in that particular sense because they're just not an underdog team. But you're right, they will be going. Oh, Villa are here because they played such and such and such. They haven't played a Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Man United. Even they'll probably throw that name in the hat as well. So like, yeah, you'd be right. They'll be waiting on that collapse, and as soon as they go to second, they'll be like, oh, this is it. This is the start of it.
Yeah, I can almost picture it now. A few on the manager sacking race. So Rub said, who would keep them up though if they sacked Company? Well, they go
Sean
to
Dyche,
like the old faithful, wouldn't they? They go to the old
Big
the
Sam.
renter managers, wouldn't they? Yeah. CC said Moyes probably not till the end of the season. Bournemouth, I think Company is safe as they'll need him to bring them up. Oh, she meant Bournemouth manager is likely near the chopping block.
Okay.
I have a lot of time for Luton, hoping they stay up. They look the best of
Yeah,
the three.
I
Yep,
think
agreed.
they will.
Rachel said Moyes will last the season unless West Ham are in relegation zone. Moyes is in the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
Gary said it would be a bad day at the office for the Premier League if we win it ever. And Gaza said, bring on the big teams. Let's see where we're at. And yeah, Mickey said, can you name a team that hasn't had a flat day away? The overall performance was sound, but lacking that killer instinct. Well, look, we saw that with lots of teams. You know, Liverpool had a flat away game last night. So yeah, it can happen. Certainly happen. One of the other points I wanted to talk about was Rory Wilson. And obviously, I think he's got something like 13 goals already for the under 18s.
In 9 games.
Yeah, 9 games. And I'm sure he's featured for the under 21s as well. He's in talks to sign a real long-term contract because other teams are now circling around him and discussing, potential interest in him. I'm not seeing him play. He looks quite slight. He looks quite looks like he needs a bit of meat on the bones. But we have John Duran who's 19. We have Rory Wilson's approaching 18. How far away do you think he is from at least getting around the first team squad? And if you're a goal scorer, are you just a goal scorer who can pop up in areas in terms of being effective for the first team?
I would say he's not near the first team until he's had a loan move. I think personally myself, I would send him on loan in January in some senior football to get him that experience, that bit of meat, like you were saying, like because at the moment he's playing against lads his age, and sometimes for players like that can be too easy, and then your standard levels don't really go up as much because you're constantly playing the same level week in, week out. Where if you got sent to like maybe non-league, League Two, somewhere there where the standards is that much better, and for him, and that tests himself, and then if he comes back and he does really well there, you could talk about sending him along to League One, Championship. I mean, it happened with Finn's Ace, didn't it? Like he's gone to League Two, he's gone to League One with Plymouth, he's in the Championship and he's flying. Sometimes maybe
Scored a
that's just all it
cracking
takes. It's
goal on
just
the
that little.
weekend, by the
Oh,
way.
what a goal, by the way! And he's Irish. I'm just saying. Had to throw that one in there. But sometimes maybe it's that little bit of patience, and maybe that's what Wilson probably will have to do because Ollie Watkins is in the prime of his life, and then Duran, he's going to come in to a certain age where Wilson will definitely have to wait. So I would say a few loan moves, and like you say, getting a few loan moves brings up that price tag just a little bit for players and gets money into the club.
Yeah. Um, as I said, the wee man is flying. Rachel said new contract when he becomes 18. You've got to say this. You've got to say this how it sounds.
It's
Martin.
Rory Wilson.
No. You've got to do the raw.
The Raw. Oh no, 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 no. No, no, just no. I'm too tired. Absolutely not.
Fair
I
enough.
always
Fair enough.
try
I
the
thought I'd
Scottish
catch
accent
you
and I
out.
failed miserably.
I thought I'd catch you out. Gaz said, good to see a young Scotsman flying at last up top. Yes, good pun there, flying Scotsman. Yeah, I like it. But yeah, this is the one thing here. We've put like Hot Take has mentioned this, and this is why I mentioned Rory Wilson and first team is we don't have a great deal of options up front. And we've obviously got an issue with Duran and this social media thing. There's been some strange cryptic answers from Unai Emery about him kind of having the potential to be one of the best strikers, but he needs to focus on his game. He needs to focus on improving. Then we're hearing he's got a toe infection. He's deleting stuff off social media. He's annoyed when he's not in the squad. You get the feeling there's a few like temper tantrums being thrown. Like I say, he's only 19. He's obviously physically strong, but he's only a year and a half or whatever older than Rory Wilson. Like, I don't know.
I think
What's Emery got to lose by letting this kid train him with the first team?
he's got absolutely
Sorry,
nothing.
getting the
He's got
first team
absolutely
squad.
nothing to lose, and you're right. And I think if Duran keeps going on with these little temper tantrums, then Emery's gonna have to say, right, out you go. I'll bring this kid in and let him learn the way of what he wants to do. And sometimes as a manager, you have to be ruthless. There's only so long a manager can be patient with a player who keeps throwing tantrums. It's like myself. Some players in the team, like they throw tantrums, and it's right, fair enough for the first while you're managing it, and then you just get to the point of, look, I'm not going to make everybody happy, and you're not, and that's just the way it is as a manager. It doesn't matter whether you're Unai Emery or Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp. You're not going to make everybody happy. So the best thing you can do then, if someone's not happy, just chop them off. See you later.
Yeah. That's at some point it is going to get to a situation that could be untenable. We obviously hope that everything's good with Duran and he's back in and it is just a straight injury. But yeah, sorry, Rub said let's get through Jan and bring in a new striker. Rod said if Dini can be professional about game time last season, then so can Duran.
Exactly.
Gary said Emery said his biggest challenge so far, so he's losing patience. I think, yeah, I agree.
That could be one
Rachel
thing.
said,
That's amazing.
yeah, Wilson can train, but it won't help him if he's on the bench. He isn't quite physically there as a striker for the Prem yet, compared to Ferguson and Duran. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Rub said the girlfriend walked on his toe with high heels. Apparently, oh my god. Yeah, it's I don't know. He's a character. He's definitely a character, and I think he's quite unpredictably a character. So we'll see, but hopefully he's back. Hopefully he's back soon. But it's really encouraging to see Rory Wilson doing so well. I mean, it's almost got to the point where the AVFC Academy, who we've interviewed, is literally just saying that man again. I'm not even going to say his name because it's just obvious who scored every time. So yeah, brilliant. Couple of transfer talk. We had this 18-year-old Turkish striker we're looking to sign. I think he's at Besiktas, 18-year-old. So maybe him. I think he's like 5'10", so I think he's more kind of speedy and nippy and
Low
what
sense
have
of
you. So
gravity
that
sort of thing. Yeah.
that could be one. And then Acuna, I think that'll be done. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we do in January. I will hopefully be able to bring some more talk transfer talk shows, but there's not been too much in terms of rumors around, but hopefully bring them more. Finally, before we finish off, because I know you are tired, Martin, you've had a long day.
Very long.
Finally, you wanted to talk about the lower grounds, and have you had an experience of the lower grounds?
No, I haven't had an experience. I probably misinterpreted that message there. But
Okay, sorry.
when I was at the Aston Villa and Luton game, I obviously was on the Up the Villa post match fan cam, and I was talking to Justin, and he said that he got his mate bought him like a ticket for the lower ground. So he said he went in, and he said it's actually really enjoyable because you walk in, you have food on arrival, much as you can eat, as much as you can drink. You know, you meet the likes of Jed Steer, some past Villa legends, and he said, yeah, probably the only thing that maybe £60 probably is a little bit steep, but at the same time, he thinks it's not a bad thing. So maybe some Villa fans, if they try that out, that you know it's just something different. And if you tried
Mm.
it, you tried it. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. That's fair enough. Not everyone's going to like it, but I think maybe before we start opening our mouths about, oh, this is not something Villa should be doing, selling our souls, just try it. If you like it, you like it. And it's not something to do every day, but I think he said you still have your ticket on the ground. So you're only really going in for like food, drinks, whatever. And then you can go back in an hour and a half after the game and you're watching another Premier League game and you can still eat all you want. So you're basically eating all you want for a full day. And
Mm.
it's not a bad deal when you think about when you're in, say, like the Witten Arms or the tavern, the social, when you're spending that money anyway, you know?
Yeah, no. Look, I don't think that I never had an issue with them bringing in things that were going to bring more revenue into the club. My issue was that they've simultaneously put up the prices for the normal fan by 30 to
Yeah,
40%,
no, yeah, I'm with you.
while at the same time diminishing the facilities for diminishing the facilities for said price increase. So that they've made the facilities worse for the normal fan while putting the prices up by 30, 40%. And then on top of that, saying, oh, well, something that you used to get for free as a season ticket holder, you now have to pay £60 for, but we're offering you free drink and food. It's never about kind of the extra things that they offer with more money. It's what, in my opinion, what you should be doing is raising the
Mm.
standard of the normal ticket if you are increasing it by 30 to 40%, but also adding these things on, extra things that people can pay for. And I agree with you. If it's someone's birthday, if it's a special occasion, yeah, you might think, oh yeah, we'll go and pay extra money for the lower grounds ticket or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. And obviously it's not going to go away anywhere. So we'll
No, like I might, because
yeah.
I'm hoping to go to the Burnley game on the New Year's weekends in the 30th of December. So, because I'll be off for, is it brilliant, brilliant.
Nice one,
Yeah.
Mark. Nice one.
But yeah, I'm hoping to go to the Burnley game for the 30th of December, and I might try the lower ground to treat myself as a little bit of a Christmas present.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Maybe we could do a Villa Park pod
Yeah, I
Christmas
might get
get
a
together.
camera and
We'll
all
see.
that, and just do like a
Yeah,
video vlog for Villa Park podcast, like here in the lower ground.
yeah,
And if I meet,
yeah, yeah.
if I do what Justin did, I'm meeting Jed Steer. I want to do that stare with him. I really
Nice
want to
one.
do it.
Nice one. We got to ask. We got to cover it.
Hmm.
Women's team. So Gary said, "Are the women's team ready for a new manager?" I think she's lost the dressing room now. And Claudia said, "Women's
Ooh.
team need a new manager, coaches, etc. We have a decent squad that are underperforming in a major way this season." Now I knew they would get beat off Chelsea. I didn't think it was going to be 6-0
Neither,
at
neither.
home. But for me, the results against the result against Liverpool, the kind of capitulation against Arsenal. I know it's a tough game, but just the capitulation and the
Tottenham as
Tottenham
well.
defeat, the 4-1, like the
Yeah,
pressure's
heavy,
got to
heavy
be on,
defeats
man.
all
And
over. Yeah,
and the worst thing is Bristol City, who are meant to be the whipping girls, the whipping girls. I don't know if you can say, you know what I mean, though.
yeah.
The worst team in the league, meant to be the worst team in the league. Um, they won the other day. So this game that we think that we're going to be able to beat Bristol City um, to get the season back on track is all of a sudden looking like a extremely difficult game.
Absolutely. And I think I've you see, you kind of nearly sympathise with Carla Warden a little bit because of the job that she done last season. She got to an FA Cup semi-final. She got Villa into fifth place, nearly breaking into a top four place with the teams that are there. And now, obviously, the players are dipping in form. Kenza Daly really is a big miss at this moment in time, and you know, Hannah Hampton as well. She went off for Chelsea, and in fairness to the new goalkeeper, she's performing well, but her defense is just really letting her down. So, and that's something as a goalkeeper you just get frustrated about, but you'll be the main talking point of it. Uh, yeah, but if Carla Ward doesn't win this game, you Aston Villa, the on the top end of the side of things, we definitely have to be looking at, a new manager for these players, because they've spent good money for these players. I know it's not as obviously high as the men's, but in terms of like the financial side of things for the women's, they have spent good money for these players.
Also, it's the fact that they're getting big crowds in now.
Yeah.
11, 12,000, and they're not going to be able to continue getting those crowds if they keep getting beat. So there's all the same pressures. When the old saying goes, more money, more problems. You get more people in. The scrutiny becomes higher, because obviously you've got to keep at that level. You get accustomed to the money and whatever that is being spent. So
Yeah.
it's difficult.
Yeah, and sometimes I think when managers in women's football, like when they get better players, I find, well, I don't know, this is just from my side of things, what I'm seeing. When they get better players and they want to elevate them, the manager doesn't necessarily go up with it.
Mm.
Like, so that's why you generally see, I know it's a lot of chops and changes in the men's too, but they generally don't go up with it. And then when they get someone in, then it's here, and then the two go up together. So it's really weird in that side of things. So, like, I'd have to say that, if like I said, if Carla Ward doesn't win this game, I think Aston Villa will have to look at other options.
Yeah, yeah. It seems to me like she's trying to search still for her best 11, and it feels like it's been a bit rushed. The whole pre-season situation seemed a bit rushed. I know I know players were out on international duty, then coming in. But that's been the same for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
But it does seem, because she dropped Corsi on Sunday, sorry, and then she's the captain. And then for putting Turner at the back, and then it just hasn't worked. Like, and then she's obviously signed a couple of new wingers, and then they've not really performed. And she keeps playing Blinkilda in midfield, and I just don't think that she's there at the minute, like at the standard.
No.
So there's a few positions, and I know there's a couple of players that she let go in pre-season that were pretty solid players that maybe
They've done the job,
shouldn't
and
have been let
yeah.
go. Yeah, yeah. Couple of comments coming in. Rachel said, "I disagree with that. Carla has lost the dressing room, but whether they need a new manager for new ideas, etc., she's not sure." Gaza said it's a tough one. Carla had them going well the last 2 years. Feels like another Dean Smith scenario. We don't want to see her go, but it's probably time now. And Gary said, bad signings this time around hasn't helped. Rachel saying which of the have been bad signings. It's difficult to say really in terms of the bad signings, just because, just because. I don't know if they've had enough time to come in, but I would certainly say that the impact that the signings had last season, and the impact that signing the likes of a Rachel Daly had on the team last season, it doesn't seem like they've made a marquee signing as such
Yeah, they
this
haven't made
season.
like a big statement signing, like in
No.
a different position or anything like that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll cover them. We'll speak about the girls, the women's team next week. Sorry, on the fans forum. Hopefully they get a couple of good results and get their season back on track. Paula said, "Guys, are you going to do a Christmas special with you all on the podcast?" I believe we will be. I'm sure we will be, and that'll be amazing. And I believe we've got one of our viewers, Nick, who's going to potentially do a Christmas quiz and host a Christmas Villa Park Pod special Christmas quiz. So watch this space for a couple of special shows over Christmas, and also watch this space for a potential link up in the international break. But I won't reveal all. I won't reveal all yet. And Martin, keep stum about that.
I'm deaf.
Dress as
I'm deaf. I'm
Santa.
deaf.
Yeah, we might do a fancy dress. You never know. We could get the Christmas hats out. I think that's it for the night, mate. Really good show again. Thank you all so much for your comments. and your questions. It's really good just to get on here and just chew the fat about all things Aston Villa, especially after the weekend's results. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help us on the road to 3K. We are literally that close to 2,700. So help us hit that, and then we can move on beyond. We've got loads of shows this week. We've got Talking Tactics coming up in the next day or so. We've got hopefully some transfer talk shows to do. We've got match preview for AZ Alkmaar. We've got what else? Gaza said you revealed it earlier. I don't know if you did. No. But yeah, we've got match preview. We've got match reaction. We've got you name it. The shows are coming thick and fast.
We're like
Thank you.
Oprah Winfrey. We got a show for you. We got a show for you. We got a show for you. We got a show for everyone in the audience.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a great night, and as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thank you.
Up